Hi everyone, welcome back to the Nistawi Woman podcast. I'm your host Danielle, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Angela Kandola. I'm sure you've heard the name, I'm sure you've seen the face, and she is the Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner for Nottinghamshire. And she has spent 25 years working with vulnerable communities, supporting women affected by issues such as domestic abuse, mental health, and violence against women and girls. In this episode, we'll be talking about women's safety, the importance of education and prevention, and the work being done across Nottingham to support women and girls. Thank you for joining us today, Angela. How are you feeling?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm fine, thank you.
Great. So let's start with, we like to start with an icebreaker just to ease the tension of it. So, what's one thing you wish people knew about you?
One particular thing,
Yes.
um, I think it's about commitment and passionate. You know, that's one thing that's in me. It's passion and commitment and changing lives. And that's how I've been brought up with. My mother was like that, supporting people in the community. And that is part of my religion as well, is to support anybody out there, regardless of their race or religion. It's just to make individuals' lives better. And that is the most satisfaction I get, is knowing someone else is living a better life than what they had. Hence, I started working in the voluntary sector, and I supported both men and women in primary care and secondary care mental health, substance misuse, offending, homelessness and domestic violence. Because there's so many people out there who are struggling, and to me, I'm here and my role is to support them.
I love that. So you've briefly touched into your role a while ago, but I would love for you to tell us, for the audience or people who don't know what your role is or not familiar with what you do, could you tell us a little bit about what you do as a Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner?
I was appointed about 18 months ago to be the Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner for Nottinghamshire. And my role is to lead on the agenda of violence against women and girls agenda, which also includes men and boys. And it's something I've been doing for over 25 years, and it's about making those changes, having impact on individuals' lives and doing things differently as well.
So you've highlighted the importance of involving men and boys in conversations around VAWG, that's violence against women and girls. Why is that engagement so important if we truly want to create long-term cultural change?
Well, violence against women and girls, and we also include men and boys, it's something as women we can't do alone. We need male allies on board. And with male allies, we can change that culture and that change. You need male role models to engage with the youth, boys, teenagers, adults, and with females actually getting that message across about violence against women and girls is not acceptable. If we have the men doing that as well, we have a double whammy. Whereas we're all on the same hymn sheet, we're saying the same thing, and we need to stop it. There will be boys, men out there who may not listen to a woman, but they will listen to a man. But when male allies, if they see any kind of challenges around violence, around misogyny, around sexism, and if they stand up and challenge it, that's where we can make a difference. This is why it's really important that we have male allies on board to support us to challenge the Vogue agenda. Hence, we also are accredited for the White Ribbon Campaign. The White Ribbon Campaign is about getting men and boys on board as allies to challenge misogyny, sexism. So collectively, we can make a difference. Women on their own, we won't be able to make that difference as much as we can with having male allies on board.
A little bit off script, but do you think that the reaction from men, do you usually typically get good responses from men? Like, are they actually interested in these types of topics? Do you think that they're willing to actually help make a change?
We have had a positive response.
That's good.
We did the 16 days of activism with the White Ribbon campaign last year, and that was, we did short videos of male allies who supported the agenda, and that was from Notts County footballers, Mansfield footballers, we had chief execs, we had directors, we had leaders from the voluntary sector, we had a youth mayor, we had a wide range of male allies who basically was eager to support us, and they want to make the changes as well. And, so it was a real positive response, and we'll continue to get more and more allies on board as well.
That just gave me some encouragement. I like to hear when men are involved and actively try to help and protect women.
Yes.
Many women do not report experiences of abuse or harassment. In your opinion, what are some of the barriers that prevent women from seeking support?
It's a number of barriers. One is obviously the shame, and also basically going into police station, also thinking, will they be believed? Which the force is well on the agenda of violence against women and girls, and they are all trained to obviously complete the reports on people reporting that. But it could be shame, it could be worry, it could be the perpetrator. If he finds out, what would happen? It could be your culture, it could be your religion, it could be, oh my God, if I report this, what is the family going to say? Oh, and it could be their financial stability, because there could be a lot of economic abuse in that household. So they're thinking, if I report it, I will probably end up with nothing. What would happen to my children? How do I feed them? How do I clothe them? So it's a number of things. It varies, from each individual, why they don't report it. On the other hand, we do get a lot of women who do come forward and report it as well. So it depends on individual circumstances why they won't come forward.
I suppose as a collective, it's more so about raising awareness and education so that they know that even though these factors might exist that prevent them from reporting, that there is help or assistance even afterwards.
There is ongoing campaigns of raising awareness of how to report it and encourage people to report. Some of them, they've had experiences of when they are going through the criminal justice system. It takes a long time for the court cases to come to make a decision. It could take up to a year, it could take up to 18 months. So it varies. So it's an issue of, if I do report it, what would happen? How long do I have to wait? And what would the outcome be? Is there enough evidence there as well? And then it could be, I don't want to report it. I'm worried. I'm worried about if he finds out the perpetrator, or if the family get to know, they may put pressure on, you can't do this because of cultural issues, because of religious issues. It varies.
How important is early education and youth engagement in preventing violence and harmful behaviors before they escalate?
It's really, really important for early education. We have commissioned a service to go and talk to children in primary school, secondary school, around healthy relationships and about respect and about equality. And that's the preventative work that needs to be done. And it needs to be done in the early generation to stop that from happening, because there's a lot of social media out there, which children can access, and it does sometimes send the wrong message.
Yeah, better to start from the root, the foundation of
Yes.
it all. What advice would you give to young women who may be struggling silently or unsure about where to seek support?
The message I would give is if you go onto the website and Google the nearest services for domestic violence of what's available, make the call, speak to somebody or speak to a close friend who can help you as well, and go and engage with those services. There's nothing forcing you to access the services, but you can get to find out, explain your situation and see what support they can provide or where they could signpost you to another service to get that support. Do not, and I mean to say this, do not suffer in silence. No one should be a victim of violence. And there are a lot of services out there that you can engage with, and there is help out there. And that is what we commission, not only from the P.C.C office, we've got local authorities who are out there who commission those services. The police are there on board, so if you want to call the police as well, but they will actually signpost you to those services as well if your first point of contact is the police. But do not suffer in silence, because there's a lot of hidden harm out there. It could be, again, they don't know what's available, or they're too petrified to go, or they don't know what's going to happen if the perpetrator finds out.
What changes or progress would you like to see in Nottingham over the next few years when it comes to women's safety and well-being?
Well, violence against women and girls has been going on for over 100 years. It's not going to stop within the next 2 to 3 years. What we need to look at is preventative measures. What can we do? For example, we've worked in partnership with the police force, and a survey was done on walk in my shoes. Tell us where you feel safe, where you feel unsafe. We've got the results back. Initially, on the survey, there was 2,500 women who completed the survey, and there was a low uptake from ethnic minority. So I spoke with the force, and they opened the survey, and then I went to engage with all the ethnic minority groups in Nottinghamshire, who I know, and we completed the survey. That was with face-to-face contact, that was in appropriate languages, engaging with individuals, raising awareness on domestic violence. What is domestic violence? Where can you get support? What is available for you? And also completing the survey of where they feel safe and where they feel unsafe. We ended up with 3,500 completed surveys. And with them, we've identified 5 hotspot areas. And with those hotspot areas, we'll be looking at either extra lighting, extra police force in that area. It could also be a help point. So it could be there's not enough services around that area as well, but we've looked at the hotspots, and we're going to be working on the hotspots as well. And on some of the hotspots, we will be working with the local authorities to address those issues.
Yeah. Do you, is it okay to share where exactly those hotspots are? Not necessarily on here, but like with the wider public for women to know. Is that
Well,
thing?
once we've completed
Yeah.
the 5 hotspot areas, we will share that, but there's a lot more for us to share.
Yeah.
Because that is just one particular project. We've done a project with the Tram Network on Operation SafeNet, and with that it's about women feeling unsafe, but also antisocial behaviour. And working in partnership with the tram service, the police and ourselves, we've got an analyst in the CCTV room there. We also have a police officer, and they can identify in the CCTV room where the issue is. And with that, then the police officer will contact the nearest neighbourhood police and tell them to go there to address it. Our Police and Crime Commissioners just launched Travel Safe on Friday. and that is working with the Nottingham City Transport, working with Trent Barton, the bus companies in the city and the county, and looking at antisocial behaviour officers on the buses to reduce antisocial behaviour. And in a couple of months' time, we'll be looking at how we have safe spaces for women and girls who may be victims of domestic abuse.
Yeah, I've
So
actually seen that on the trams.
yeah, the
Yeah.
trams, we launched that over a year ago, and then now it's with the buses as well.
Oh, nice.
So we've got those initiatives going. We're mapping out the whole of the city and county safe spaces. Where can there be safe spaces for individuals to go who feel vulnerable? You know, it could be in a retail shop, it could be in a library, it could be in a bar at night. It varies, and we're mapping out all the safe spaces, which is going to take some time for the whole of Nottinghamshire, and we will have the opening times, the closing times, what kind of safe space it is, and that's what we're going to map out, because you may live in the city and you may go out in the county and you may feel vulnerable and you will want a safe space that you can walk into.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle of doing that as well. There's a lot of things that we are doing and a lot of initiatives. We do have the nighttime economy. With the nighttime economy, you've got the Ask for Angela poster, which is if you feel uncomfortable in a bar and maybe you're with a partner who's a perpetrator and you need to get away from them, you go to the bar and you ask for Angela, and they will automatically know to take you into a safe space and get you away from the perpetrator.
Yeah. I've heard of that one.
We've got different kind of initiatives going off. We've got the Consent Coalition, which we funded. The Consent Coalition website, it talks about spiking, it talks about going out and what you should do when you go out, and, you know, about consent itself. It's got an A to Z booklet on consent. What is consent? What isn't consent? So, you know, we've got that initiative as well. That's been going for a number of years as well. So there's a lot of different initiatives out there. We're just going to pull them all together and do that. But it's about thinking out the box.
Yeah.
You know, we commission services, and it's great to have those services because, you know, we want victims to have that support. But also, we need to look at preventative work and think out of the box. What can we do different? What can we do in the preventative area? Because, like I said, violence against women and girls, it's been going on for over hundreds of years. We can't stop it overnight, but we need to look at how we can slowly chip into that and reduce it. And the way we're going to do that is the prevention. There's too much social media, you know, for young boys and teenagers, and it's not positive social media. For example, you've got Andrew Tate,
Yeah.
and that's just one example. And, you know, these young boys and teenagers, they think, oh my God, he's a hero. And when he says this is how you treat women, they're taking that on board. I was talking to a group of 15-year-old girls, and they were saying to me at school the kind of things, the names you know, the boys call them and the way they treat them. I said, you need to stand up to it. She goes, we're used to it now. Nobody should be used to anything like that. We're here to be treated equally, and we need to. And unfortunately, to the things like social media, that's making it worse for us. But we need to look at the positive side, get some really good role models, have male allies on board who are there to support us to make that change, to shift that culture away, and try to make it more positive so everyone's respected equally, and keeping women and girls safe, but also men and boys out there are victims as well.
Yeah. It's all about finding that balance of using social media for information and inspiration rather than, you know, all these unhealthy thoughts and habits and just these opinions that they have of women on the internet, and how we can actually like I can't say that we can actually like prevent them from seeing it in general, but even if they're exposed to that type of content, they're also exposed to information that lets them know that this is not okay. Yeah.
It's role models like Andrew Tate who's doing that.
Yeah. There's multiple of them.
Yes, multiple. Yes, correct.
So the next question we have is, how can local organizations and community groups work better together to support survivors and create safer environments for women and girls?
Right. First of all, we've got specialist services there for women and girls, but with community groups themselves as well. One thing is to raise awareness on violence against women and girls. Have some materials out in their centres. It is okay, to contact somebody if you're experiencing any form of domestic abuse. And we need to get faith leaders on board. We need to get leaders of the community on board to start talking about this subject, because once you've got community leaders, faith leaders on board talking about it, their congregation will automatically accept and listen. And that's what we've got to do. For every community, they need to start having those conversations and remove the stigma and the taboo of not having those conversations, because it's happening. It's happening in every community, and we need to talk with those voluntary sector organisations who provide a range of services, is to promote domestic abuse and where they can access those services. They need to talk to their staff to say when somebody comes in, it's good to ask a few more questions, because they may come in wanting support with their benefits or something else, but underlying issues may be domestic violence. So if we've got that literature out there in the community and voluntary sector groups, and we've got them in the faith groups, and it's translated where appropriate, it will get that message out. It's just like, I'll give you an example. We are going to be organising an event on honour-based abuse. There's so many South Asian women who have been murdered because of honour-based abuse. So we're going to do an event, and with that event, we will have statutory partners, we will have commissioners, we'll have voluntary sector partners, but I'm also going to get a group of South Asian women who know their communities and who know a lot of their communities. Because what I want them to do is sit there and listen to what honour-based abuse is. They may be a victim themselves. They may know somebody who's a victim. And if it's not either of those, they will go back into their communities. We went to this event. Did you know this happens? And raise awareness of honour-based abuse. And that message will go out. Word of mouth is the most powerful way to get that message out. And this is why I want grassroots women as well at that event, along with commissioners, along with statutory partners, along with voluntary sectors who don't specialise in domestic abuse, to know this is what's out there.
Yeah.
That's what we've got to do.
And you just touched on something which is very important, I think, which is oftentimes things happen to women and they don't notice it in the moment, maybe a day or two after, and they think, oh, was that a crime actually? Was that assault?
Is
yeah.
that, you mean, to when it happens to men and women, men and boys? The one thing is, with men across the board, they've got to be macho.
Yeah.
They don't talk about these things. It doesn't happen to them. So it's a lot more difficult for them to come forward. But we have a specialist service for them. And when I ran a voluntary sector organisation, a gentleman came to me from the ethnic minority, and he was going through a divorce, and he was feeling quite depressed. When we started talking, he actually, once he started trusting me, he spoke about domestic violence, and his wife was the perpetrator, But as a man, nobody will believe him. So we offered him a lot of support. From offering that support to one person, I ended up with over 10 other men coming forward, and they were all victims of domestic abuse. So it's about changing that culture, that behaviour,
Yeah, that
offering that
stereotype.
support, and also understanding. I mean, everyone knows that, you know, people think men can't come forward because they're supposed to be masculine and they're supposed to be dealing with everything. But they're human beings, and they should be able to come forward and get that kind of support. Hence, we always say that even the strapline is violence against women and girls. In our strategy, we still have in there that we support men and boys as well. Anyone can be a victim.
Yeah.
It could start off with bullying. There's a lot of bullying at school, you know, and a boy could be bullied and he's been vulnerable, and when he's a bit older, if a perpetrator finds out, oh yes, he was bullied at school, he's used to being bullied, they could end up being a victim of domestic violence. It's for various reasons. That's just one example, because I supported somebody who went through that. And it's about being non-judgmental, and it's about, you know, saying it's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a man or a teenager, it can happen to anyone. Even like with the LGBTQ plus groups, it happens there quite a lot as well.
It's just about being empathetic towards others. I think I just have two more questions. What keeps you motivated to continue doing this work, even when the challenges can feel overwhelming?
It's how you've been brought up. And there's always been challenges. You know, my mother was a widow and she brought up us children on her own. So there was a strong woman there, and we had a lot of challenges, and you've got to either overcome those challenges or give up, and we never gave up. And the passion of supporting vulnerables, I have that passion, and I'm used to having challenges, and I will always exhaust every avenue on a challenge before I give up. And I'm a person who's used to, well, no, I can't give up. I've got to do something about this. There's some amazing cases that I've worked on where sometimes it's been 24/7 for 7 days a week to save somebody's life. And you will work hard and hard and hard because you have that passion and you want to make that difference and make that change. And when you have that outcome, it's just an amazing feeling. It is priceless. But it's about making other people's lives better. And if we are in a position to do that, we should do that. You know, somebody may come with an issue and it may look like a minor issue to us, but it's the big issue for them. And if we can address that, look at the difference of how their life might change. And that's what we're here to do, is to make people's lives better. And nobody should suffer in the way they do suffer out there. And it is a lot of the times not their fault why they're in that situation. Most important is non-judgmental and offer them support. I think that's a passion.
And the final question I have for you, I feel like that should have been the last question because it was just so sentimental, and so passionate. Since 2 years on, what would you say have been some of the key outcomes or successes in this role?
The one thing that I focus on is outcomes. I'm here. I need to make a difference. How am I going to make that difference? And what kind of positive outcomes is there going to be? One thing is Operation SafeNet, travel safely. We're going to have more safety as well. And process of mapping out safe spaces. I actually, with the backing and support of my Police and Crime Commissioner, we held our first International Women's Day in March, and we had over 230 women there from all walks of life, because that's how I delivered conferences when I ran a charity, and I wanted to have that vision again and get everybody in that room. And it gave us an opportunity to raise awareness on violence against women and girls, and let women know what services are out there, because there was a wide range of services, and also to recognise some grassroots women who are survivors of domestic abuse who would never get recognised anywhere else at all. So it's given that recognition. So that's International Women's Day. Last year, we were the first ones to hold a East Midlands Violence Against Women and Girls Conference, which was held here in Nottinghamshire, and the theme was prevention. As what I mentioned to you, prevention. So we held that as well, and we brought 5 regions together to actually deliver that conference as well. So there are achievements there. There are a lot more achievements to come as well. And I want to look at outcomes and delivery and look at what can we do. And like I said, to make a difference is to look at preventative work. Oh, also accredited with the white ribbon as well, to get male allies on board. There's a lot more we've done on a day-to-day basis. It's like I've got 2 survivors who are champions for me to work with me. We're supporting the force in arranging an independent advisory group on violence against women and girls. And I've just identified one of our ambassadors to be the chair of that. And we've done engagement. We've done a lot more raising awareness on violence against women and girls, and the Police and Crime Commissioner's role. And the outcome for that is that we had funding just under £1 million, about 800,000 last year. And the communities we reached out to, the amount of applications came in, it topped up to 5 million. And that's never happened before. And then the other thing is engaging with the communities that are never been engaged with before. And I wish I had the list in front of me, but with the Walk in My Shoes, we had the established communities, the African Caribbean, the South Asian, we had the Hong Kong community, we had the travellers, we had the Mongolian, we had the Polish community, we had Gypsy and travellers. There's about 30 different communities I engage with to get that 800 surveys completed from the ethnic minority. That's not happened before. We're doing an event on honour-based violence. That's not happened before as well. And again, that's raising awareness. And so they can, once they access services, they get the right service as well. One of the first things we did is with the African community is arrange a football match with the police. That's one of the things they wanted. They wanted a football match with the police, and we arranged that. And we've got a follow-up this year as well. But it's reaching out to the communities that have not been reached out. By reaching out to them, we have raised more awareness on violence against women and girls agenda, and we've had people come forward on that. There's been some confusion around who do I contact, what happens, what's the process, and so forth, if they do report it. And those kind of questions were asked when we was doing the Walk in My Shoes survey. So we've reached out to a lot more people out there as well. And there's a lot more to do.
Well, you've got a very long list of accomplishments, and I'm sure there'll be much more soon. But that's all the questions that I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. It's been a very insightful conversation, and we truly appreciate the time that you took to come and share your experiences, your perspectives, all the work that you're doing. And I just want to thank everyone who is listening. Don't forget to follow Nistawi Women for more conversations around women's well-being, your safety, your empowerment, and community support.
Thank you for having me. I just want to say, everybody who's listening to this podcast, is do not suffer in silence. If you know anybody who is a victim of violence against women and girls, that's both boys and men as well, please signpost them to services or let them know what to do. And the next conversation that hopefully I'll be invited back to is a really important conversation, and that is FGM. We need to talk about FGM and raise awareness on FGM as well, and have conversations around, how we can get support on FGM. Thank you. Bye.
And we'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.